From sunny Southern California, this is the podcast from the International Broadcast Headquarters and AbelJosephson.com. Here now is your host, Abel Josephson.
And God said, "Let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that has life, the moving creature that hath life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in open firmament of heaven, the fowls of the air. And God created great whales, and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly." So these creatures are brought forth from the waters, and they're brought forth after their kind. So there are different kinds of creatures, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let fowl multiply in the earth." And God said, "Let the earth bring forth a living creature," living, so it's alive, "the living creature after his kind, cattle, and creeping thing, and beast of the earth after his kind." And it was so. Who are these creeping things? It goes on, "And God made the beast of the earth after his kind." So God is speech and speaking. And the beast is created by what is spoken. It is created within you, and it is after his kind. His kind of what? His kind of speech. And God made the beasts of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God said, "Let us make man in our image." So everything that you've seen there about the beasts, the creeping things, fowls of the air, that is the us that God is going to be seen as. Because we're going to see what the words that we speak produce within us, and in that we will see the power and the glory of God, of speech and speaking, our words. And we're going to make all of these things after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all of the earth. Notice the mention of the beast, the animals, both separately, cattle and beast, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So those creeping things are not identified. They just creep around on the inside of you. We shouldn't be surprised that a beast is the image of God, that what you say can create some sort of beast on the inside of you. And that beast is shown throughout the entire Scripture, the whole Bible. Okay, so I laid all that down just as a little bit of a framework to get started here, so you can see the creeping things and the beasts and the cattle and the birds and all that. And I'm going real slow so you can pick up all these little nuanced words, because we're building the beast. We have to build the beast so eventually the beast comes together and manifests, and we can see the totality of what the beast is. Okay, so on a random subject change, but along the same lines, parallel, we know that whatever is referred to as the woman, the wife, or the daughter or sister, these are the aspects of the receiving mind within you. The ones who can not only speak, but they can deliver the birth of children, the birth of new understandings based on what is spoken. But she can also speak, and that's very important for you to know. The mind speaks within you. There's a whole conversation going on within you. And the only way that any of it has eternal life as you is if you conjoin it to the spoken word and you speak what is going on within you. So what the mind speaks does not have seed, which is why it is unfruitful to speak from the mind. It's unfruitful to speak from your mind, and not the man or the father or even a son that has seed. Everything that you speak needs to have, it needs to be the kind of language that has seed in it to plant something, to groom something, to prune something, to harvest something on the inside of you. And eventually, the point is to develop into maturity. We need a revelation of the difference between what is speaking from the mind, or the woman speaking, or the man, the bridegroom, your voice, filled with language and words that have seeds for the woman, has sperm for the woman, for the mind. We need a revelation that brings us into maturity to where we see the difference between the mind speaking or the Father or the man or the Word or the Son or Jesus Christ? What do we speak? Where does it come from? We need to know. Does it contain sperm or seed that plants in our vineyard, or is it nothing more than a strong woman that drives us into the attic of the house in a high place because it makes us mad inside, drives us crazy? What words that you speak are male and what words you speak are female? Do you know? And we all know that our culture despises the silencing of a woman. But the Dusty Family Bible shows us that in the end, when we come into perfection, the groom speaks and the bride, the woman, the mind is silent in the church. Who is it that silences the bride? The bridegroom when he comes forth. The mind knows what to listen to that you speak and what not to listen to. And all those women in the Bible are all begging their husband to give them children. So your mind is craving, even lusting, for words that have seed that plant righteousness, peace, and joy on the inside of you in the garden that you are. Now you can understand what it means in 1 Corinthians 11, where it says, "For if the woman be not covered, let her be also shorn. But if it be a shame for a woman to be shorn or shaven, let her be covered." She has to have something on top of her. She has to have a covering is the point. She has to be covered. And then it goes on, "For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image and the glory of God, but the woman is the glory of the man. The mind is a product of what has been spoken by you." And the man should not be covered. He should be naked and speak and be seen for what he is and say what he is. And the mind should be quiet, be covered, and receive the word from the man. And she will receive when she sees that the words coming from your lips are male, have sperm, have seeds, will produce offspring. And the mind's begging for it, just like Rachel, Leah, and Rebecca competed for and begged for the seed of Jacob so that they could bring forth children. All right, so there's a little bit of groundwork on the woman, and should she speak or not? And if she does speak, do you know what those words are and the difference between those words and the words you speak from your mouth? So that's laid down. So let me go back to the creatures of the field, the creeping things, fowl of the air. So again, we look at that. You know, who are these creeping things and the fish of the sea and every creature that creepeth upon the face of the earth? Who are they? What are they to us? What are they to us? Whatever these creatures are, they are somehow brought forth before the man Adam, and Adam is man, and Adam is you. They are brought forth from within Adam. If you go to Genesis 2:19, it says, "And out of the ground the Lord God formed every" what? Beast. Formed every beast. So there are many beasts. He formed every beast of the field. And what's the field? The mind, which is where the beast is going to come forth from. It's going to speak from the mind, this beast. "And the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air and brought them unto Adam" to what? For a reason. Showed them, opened it up to where he could see these things so that Adam could see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. Whatever he perceived that they were, that's what he called them. Okay, jump over to Noah. "And the Lord said unto Noah, Come thou and all thy house into the ark for thee, that I have seen righteousness before me in this generation." I've seen you are a righteous man. Get your stuff and come into the ark. "Of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by sevens, the male and his female." So there's two. So we always have to have word and a receiver of the word. "The male and his female, and of the beasts," plural, "that are not clean by two." The male and his female. So we have clean beasts, we have unclean beasts. I'm just pointing these things out. How many times you see the word beast or beast referred to in Scripture? Because when we get over to Revelation 13, when it talks about the beast there, you're not going to be so gobsmacked over the creepiness and the evil of this beast. It goes on, "Of the fowls of the air," he tells Noah, "of the fowls of the air also by sevens, the male and the female, to keep seed alive upon the face of all the earth." So, well, what do we know about animals? Cats, dogs, lions, tigers, birds, fish, insects. We know that they are different than man and that they cannot speak a language. They are a life that is not wired to bring forth word, speech, speaking. These creatures and creeping, crawling things, these that are brought forth 2 by 2, male and female, into the ark of safety are the totality of your emotions, feelings, opinions, hurts, wounds, joys, delights, lusts, desires of all kind, every possible aspect of you and who you are in the totality of all that is in your personality. This is who we're talking about when we talk about creatures and creeping things. But they're veiled underneath that language, those mysterious words, to keep you from their true identity. And these are the ones within you that are in the field of your mind and the oceans of understandings within you that have never spoken. And it may be such that you never knew that they could even be given a voice. And so now, let's take a look at this, Revelation 13. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea. No surprise. Remember, all those creatures, beasts, fish of the sea, having 7 heads. Now this is this beast that rose up out of the sea, having 7 heads and, very important, 10 horns. And upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name or identity of the message that came forth from them was blasphemous or blasphemy. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the 10 crowns except to say that they are ordained, and they do have a ruling voice. The most important thing I'm going to hit upon is the 7 heads and 10 horns. And upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. There you go. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. See all the creatures, the animals? His mouth, the mouth of a lion, and the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. Great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. We all know this story, and all the world wondered after the beast. Okay, let me touch on the dragon, because I'm going to mention the dragon here in a little bit. There's a dragon referred to. The dragon is nothing more than a spirit. That is the life within the words that you speak. And the spirit breathes fire. And the dragon, they all have wings, right? They can fly through the air. They are a certain thought pattern, a certain thought life, a certain viewpoint. And they have a voice. It's very important to note, it says, I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, or supposedly. And his deadly wound was healed, and all of the world wondered after the beast. Or, if you read it this way, and all of the world wandered after this beast, followed the spirit that was in it, and the spirit is denoted as the dragon. It's kind of interesting. If you look at this beast, as soon as it arises and it's revealed in Scripture, the beast never talks. It remains a beast because it does not speak. It does not put perception and knowledge to language. The beast has no ability to funnel the words. So the beast is an internal voice. It's a voice of the mind. And this voice of the mind is rebellious. It is against the life of the word in the mind. It is Antichrist. Christ is our life. And the God that is within us that we are is the language of speech and speaking, the ability to speak. And when we do speak, whatever we speak, it is the voice of God, for speech and speaking, or the word is God. So let's take this magnificent beast full of beauty and power and strength and appeal and lust and sexuality and harmony and joy and authority. See, it has all these things. All of the nations have wandered after this and followed this. It is basically said, this is what the mind wants to hear. This is what the mind wants to hear. But the mind has to give up the lust after that and allow herself to receive and conceive understanding based on what is spoken only. That's why I said earlier it's important to know, is your Are your words coming from your mind or from the Father that is in the words, that carries the knowledge of the power of those words, so that this Son of God or this Jesus Christ governs that word and makes sure nothing is said that reveals or speaks of or denotes or condemns with condemnation? This beast has a lot of authority. It's a powerful, magnificent creature. You can tell by how much language is given to describe it in metaphorical detail. The authority of this beast that is rising to be seen and identified is to be desired, and we have lain prostrate before the beast all of our lives. It's the voice of our mind. This beast is so spectacular and so adorned with many dynamics, abilities, powers, images, many heads, many crowns. This beast is made up of many beasts. That's why it says the feet were like that of a bear and the hands were like that of a leopard, or whatever it said. All that stuff where it describes his physique, the physique of the beast, describes it in terms of creatures, living things, lions, tigers, bears. And these are all voices that represent the feelings and emotions and opinions of your life that have been silenced. And the mind has silenced them. And that silence has created this amalgamation of all the creatures into one massive beast. And I stood in the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. So this is a beast that brings a message, and it is blasphemous, or it is blasphemy. Blasphemy, defined in simple terms, is this: the act or offense of speaking sacrilegiously about God or sacred things, profane talk. Speaking sacrilegiously about speech and speaking. So this is the mind that says, nah, if I say something, it's not going to come to pass. I've tried that. That's because the mind found a way to the lips, and the mind spoke out of your lips, and there was no seed or sperm. Nothing could be brought forth. So they were meaningless, and profane words meant nothing. Profane is mentioned. So what is profanity? Profanity is relating or devoted to that which is not sacred or biblical, secular rather than religious, of a person's behavior, not respectful of orthodox religious practice, irreverent. So there's all the irreverence in the mind against the power, even the revelation or the knowledge that the Word is God, that your words carry a certain spirit. They have irreverence or disrespect. So the beast is the consolidation of all that is within you that has no knowledge that your own speech and speaking is the true and living God within you. There's no reverence to the power of your own words to form, create, change, judgment of self, to call things that be not as though they were within you. The beast is the congregation of the unrighteous, all rolled up into one visible creature that is the final stand of all that man is in man to rule and reign over the voice of righteousness. This beast simply does not want the word or the bridegroom to come forth and say, I am righteous and everything about me is righteous and there's nothing wrong with how I am. Because with that comes the knowledge of God, which is to say, everything that I am is a product or the fruit of everything that was ever spoken by anybody before me in my lineage and everything that I have spoken in this life. The beast must be revealed so we can see the beast, and we have the beast within us that opposes God, or it opposes the reverence or acknowledgement of our speech and speaking as God. It opposes even the hope that is possible to have if you consider that your words have that power. It opposes the hope, the righteousness, the peace, the joy, all of it. Okay, so it took me about 23 minutes to paint all those pictures, to bring up all those characters, to point out all those language details. And this, just to get to this right here. The beast is a picture of the sons of Jacob, and Joseph was one of the sons, one of the heads. And remember that Joseph, it seemed, was put to death. It seemed that he was put to death. And even his death was a lie. Remember, the brothers came and dipped his coat of many colors into the blood of a slain animal to be presented to Jacob the father to convince him of the death of the son. But we know Joseph rises and rules the house of Pharaoh. It says, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death. Again, talking about the beast. I saw one of his heads as if it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. Wow, a miracle. And all of the world wandered after the beast. And they worshiped the dragon, or the spirit, which gave power to the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto this beast, who is able to make war with him? So all the creatures within the beast were intimidated by the beast itself, and wondered who could take on this powerful, mighty force, this presence, this spirit-driven collection of voices within the mind. This beast was quite a beast. He had many mouths that he spoke from. It says he had 10 heads. That means he has 10 mouths. A dragon is just a belief that roars and blows fire and is threatening, is the spirit behind the fierceness of the beast. You know, it's funny, the dragon is called the dragon and remains a mystery because so far we have not heard the dragon speak, nor do you hear the dragon speak. The only voice the dragon has is the voice of the whore that rides the dragon, the great red dragon. The dragon is most closely associated with the mind or the woman within you, the receiving part of you that responds to what you say to you. It says, there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. The power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against what? Against one simple thing, speech and speaking, or God, or your words when you bring them forth, if they are designed to create and to rule and reign within you. If you notice in modern day times now that we live in, if you notice in children's cartoons, animated movies, and that stuff, stories, the dragon is always presented as a childlike figure, kind of a Peter Pan of sorts that children make friends with. I'm just bringing this up as an observation. This world is taught to make friends with the dragon, and it's manifested in our entertainment sources. Yet, the dragon is the war maker against the mind receiving and comprehending the power of words, to be the husband of the mind, to have absolute authority over the mind herself. The dragon is a war maker, or it's a spirit or a vibe that makes war with an understanding, with a revelation, and that's the revelation of God, or the revelation of the spoken word is God. He refuses intimacy with the words you speak and seeks to destroy the sperm found in the word. And when this sperm is planted within the woman, through the tongue, the beast seeks to find the child conceived and then kill the child as it comes from the womb. Exodus 1. And the king of Egypt spoke to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of one was Sapphira, and the name of the other was Puah. And he said, when you do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then you shall kill him. But if it is a daughter, then she shall live. In other words, we're going to allow the mind to expand, but not the word that has seed or the male child or the spoken understandings. But the midwives feared speech and speaking. They reverenced God. And they did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men children alive. So you see the beast also in Matthew 2. Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wroth, and sent forth and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem and in all the coast thereof, from 2 years old and older, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. Then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet, saying, in Ramah there shall be a voice heard, lamentation and weeping and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children, and would not be comforted because they are not. So the beast is within us, and within us is the knowledge of Christ, that Christ is our life, and the glory of God speaking from our life. The beast must be silenced. That's what has to happen to turn all of this around. Remember, Jesus was silenced when he was crucified. Death to any voice is crucifixion. Death to any voice is to be silenced, and to silence is to crucify. Jesus was silenced within every emotion and feeling of man, and for him to rule and reign, he must also silence the beast in return, that he may speak without conflict. That's why it says he subdued kingdoms, because he had to overthrow these mighty, powerful kingdoms. How did he do it? He found a way to silence them, just as he was silenced. And it goes on, and it was given unto him to make war with the saints. This is the beast. It was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them, and power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. Tongues. This is about tongues. It's about speech, speaking, and who is allowed or disallowed to speak from your lips, from the altar of man, where a sacrifice is made by speaking. But this beast was given power. It was righteous that he had power. In understanding that, you can see why you cannot condemn yourself for anything. You cannot condemn yourself for being under the enchantment of a mindset, because it was given power that you be that way so you could experience it, so that you could become what it was, the beast. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. So the only voices that are discriminated against by the internal beast are those who proclaim that their life is Christ and their word is God. They take a beating from this beast. They are silenced. That's why Jesus, on the inner workings of man within you, went and spoke to all of the nations within you and said, when I rise like a fisherman, I shall gather you up in a net. I am fishers of men, or words with sperm in them, and I shall bring them all to the tongue of the Father, and none shall be held back from their eternal life, to be spoken, to be represented in the mind of man as to who he really is, based on his confession of truth about what he sees and hears within him. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. And that's where the voice of righteousness takes captive and silences the voice of condemnation, or the voice of the beast from within you. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. The sword is the tongue. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Hang on. It takes a little time just to understand the scope of it so that you can walk in it in your life. So is the beast bad? Is the beast evil? Well, now we see another beast. I'm sorry, say that again. Oh yeah. Right there in the same Revelation 13 is a second beast. So why does it refer to the second beast as a beast also? Because this is another voice that has been silenced, and they have been at war in the silent realm. And the only one that has a trophy to win is the one that sees that the point is, for what I am inside of man, I must make it to the tongue and be spoken as him. And this Jesus, this voice of righteousness, wants to win the battle, wants to get to the tongue before the beast does. And he is going to save everything in his net and present to them an opportunity to be spoken and speak of themselves without condemnation, that they may live eternally in righteousness, never again to be guilty for who and what they were within you. So we see a second beast. This beast is quite different because he has power over the massive beast that is the first beast listed and described. And check this beast out, this second beast. It says, and I beheld another beast. And I beheld another, this is a second beast, coming up out of the earth. And he had two horns like a lamb. In other words, he spoke out of two sides as one voice. He had two horns. A horn is just a trumpet. It's just the mouth. He had two horns like a lamb, and he spoke as a dragon. Wow, we could hear a spirit in this one too. This one was also driven by a dragon, which is a metaphorical term for a fire-breathing spirit that is found in words. And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound, was healed. Remember, the first beast has 10 heads, not 12. Well, what was correct was he had 7 heads, 10 crowns. So he should have 12, but he has 10. So if I get it mixed up, heads and crowns, I'm really talking about the same thing. But it is 12 minus 2, which is 10. And that's important, and I'll explain why. But sometimes I go so fast, I get the heads and the crowns mixed up. So if I say heads, I'm talking about crowns. So we're going to get to a point where we've got to understand, where did those 2 other heads go? Because everything in that book, when it comes to brotherhoods or tribes or bodies, are 12. 12 sons of Israel, 12 sons of Ishmael, 12 tribes of Israel, 12 disciples. And he goes forth and does great wonders. This is the second beast. So that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. Jesus was from his Father in heaven, yet he was born in the mind, born in the earth. Please note that the fire this dragon breathes does not come up from hell. It comes down from heaven. This is because heaven despises the knowledge of the Christ life and the word spoken from that life, because heaven is not yet willing to let there be heaven and earth. Now the Jews, what? They hated Jesus. Heaven did not want earth to have a place within man, just as the older son in the Father's house did not desire to have the return of the prodigal son to the Father's house. Oh, no, that wasn't going to be. That was not going to be acceptable. So the first beast is the older son that stayed in the house. The second beast is the younger son, who has been to the depths of depravity, the depths of darkness, the depths of death, has become who and what they were, and now has the wisdom to bring forth a new message to the Father, who has mercy because he knows how hard it is to be crucified, to be silenced. Take notice that the prodigal son never spoke. The prodigal son, when he came back to the Father's house, never said a word. He never apologized for what he had done or where he had been. All right, so this goes on. It says, I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spoke as a dragon. And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him. So he exercises the power. He cast out the power in that beast. He exercises all of the power of the first beast before him. And he causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. What is worship? Worship is to gaze upon something and to the point that you become who and what it is. And he wanted all of the souls that had been filled or were a part of this beast to see their power fall and to live as those who had power of the beast and that dragon within them, but now had that power removed from them. But they never forget that power, that beast. And he does great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. This is what the second beast does. And deceives them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which he had the wound by a sword and did live. He wanted all of your feelings that had carried this beast, that refused to be healed by the words from your mouth. He wanted them to see the fall of this power and to live and continue to look as those of whom had been under this power and looked like this power, but to have the power fall and then to be healed of that wound that the beast caused, within them. The second beast wants this image to be in what you see when you see those that were under the power of this beast, the feelings that you have that were under the power of the beast. The second beast wants this to happen. He wants a memory of the beast. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. The second beast had the power to give life to the image of the beast. Why? Because the second beast was the Word. The second beast was the Word, not yet revealed, because still referred to as beast, because now he is only a voice on the inside of man, on the inside of Adam. He had the power to give life to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, just the image of it, not the original beast, but this image of the beast could both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast, that they should be killed. So no one may speak again if they speak that the image isn't real and the truth about the beast. So there we see that there was one or an individual that gave the beast power to speak. And the beast was somehow governed at this point now. And this one says, if you don't acknowledge the beast, you will be silenced, or as it says, killed. You have to know about the beast. You have to understand the beast. So acknowledgement of the beast is essential to our recovery and to be made whole. We've been done a favor by seeing the beast in the book. It says, and he causeth all, both small and great. See, these are put into pairs, right? Two. Small and great, heaven and earth. Big and small, small and great. Rich and poor, rich, heaven, poor, earth. Free and bond, heaven free, earth in bondage. He causes all these to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Who does this? The second beast. Remember, this all begins with, and I saw a second beast. He has the power to give power to the beast. He has everything he needs. He is in total control of it. Why? He is the Word. And this beast is going to die by the sword. The very sword that he used is the very sword that will bring him down. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their hand or in their foreheads. So it's essential that our hand or our speech, for the hand is speech and the fingers are the words. Remember, Jesus put his fingers or his words into the ear of the deaf man. The hand is speech and the fingers are the words we use. There had to be a mark in our speech that leads to a mark in our foreheads that establishes clearly the rule and reign of the beast. Full clarity, a clear message, a full, complete, detailed picture. And it says, and that no man might buy or sell save he had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. This is when the book starts going, okay, now here's what this is about. Here's wisdom. Because as I have shown you two kinds of beasts, wisdom is when you see both sides and you can now decide. If you don't have wisdom, you only see one side. Here we go now. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. And his number is 666. The purpose of all this is to point out the two beasts. The purpose of all this is to point out the two beasts. Remember, he said, I saw a second beast. One beast rules the other until the other subdues the first beast and overtakes them. So if I associate the name of Jesus to the second beast, and this second beast rules the first beast, even gives him power, even has the authority to give him his place as the first beast, why doesn't the Bible denote the second beast as our precious Jesus character? It's because the manifestation of the knowledge of God, or the understanding of what our speech does in and to our life and experience, it's all fought out, all worked out within us. In the end, the mind receives this revelation before the revelation is ever spoken by our own lips. Mary was with child before Joseph came in unto her. Man cannot come in unto the speaking of the truth until the seed is sown and the child is born and the child is given proper name, so his secret identity is now revealed and is now separate from the sea, but now stands on a clear crystal sea, or a clear crystal view of what is within you. Didn't Joseph hide his identity from the brothers when they first visited him in Egypt? Was not Joseph ruling over them and had total power over them? So Joseph was in total control of the brothers, and even attempted to give them a proper sacred voice when he put the gold into their sacks, the mouths of their sacks, it says, or the voice of righteousness into the mouth and upon the tongues. This war between dragons is fought within. These two spirits are fighting within. Both dragons breathe a fire. And remember what it says that the second beast requires. The second beast requires acknowledgement of the first beast. And that everybody has to bear this image of the beast, or they'll be silenced. The first beast is not discarded like junk. The second beast does this. He receiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the first beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, but that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. The second beast deceives them on the earth and lets them believe the first beast, lets them have a good taste of his works. It was important. It was part of the learning. He wants the image of the first beast to be known and to have authority so that all can clearly see and know the difference between the mighty beast of self-condemnation and the mighty beast of the voice of righteousness, so that all within you may come to the full revelation of all that you are, that which was, that which is, and that which is to come. So standing naked, without shame, having seen the first beast within me, I am not ashamed of this anymore. I understand that that beast had to be seen, had to be revealed. I had to live it. I had to breathe it. I had to be the beast. I had to be the dragon. I had to be the whore, to see the fact that there's no fruit in my vineyard because of it, because of a fight against total righteousness in all that you seek, speak, say, and do. Why did the first beast have 7 heads? Remember? I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. The name is the identity. In other words, it was the identity of the voice of unrighteousness. No reverence for the glory of your own speech and speaking. Blasphemy. The 7 heads are the totality of the mind that accepts all things as perfect. 7 is perfection. Who are the 10 heads? These are 10 of the brothers of Joseph, leaving 2 heads yet defined or identified. These 2 remaining heads are Joseph and Benjamin. Benjamin is the youngest and the last son of Jacob, and Joseph identifies him as his own voice. The final step in the puzzle to have the voice of Joseph be born. And remember, Jacob wept because they were taking Benjamin away. And it's just like Mary Magdalene said. It says she wept after the crucifixion when she said, "Where have they taken my knowledge of God, my Lord?" And listen now, and you're going to hear the story of the first beast, the 10 brothers, and then the remarkable story of the second beast that governs them, who is Joseph. And then the manifestation of the bringing forth of the word of Joseph, denoted as precious Benjamin. So all of this set up to get to this point, the revelation of the beast. Okay, so I'm going to pick up the story when the second beast breaks his silence, and in this he is made known as Joseph by name. And this too, remember, Joseph has been thrown into the pit. His brothers told the father Jacob he's been killed by a wild animal. He's found in the pit and goes through some travels and ends up in Potiphar's house and ends up ruling the house of Pharaoh. And the mind in the house of Pharaoh, Pharaoh's wife, seeks to sleep with him so she can get the seed of what? Righteousness. So this is where we're picking up, and now the brothers have come. Joseph has hidden his identity from them with all his Egyptian garb, his garment of Egypt, and all that which he has covered himself with by what he has spoken. And he's revealing himself to these brothers. Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all of them that stood by him. And he cried, "Cause every man to go out from me." And there stood no man with him, while Joseph made himself known unto his brethren. And he wept aloud, and the Egyptians and the house of Pharaoh heard. And Joseph said unto his brethren, "I am Joseph. Doth my father yet live?" And his brethren could not answer him, for they were troubled at his presence. They're shocked that this voice of righteousness that they thought they had surely silenced And remember, Jacob loved Joseph. Why? Everything that Joseph said, he played the right music, he said the right things, because it pleases you to say beautiful and glorious things about yourself and praise yourself in the face of a world and a culture you know, within you and without you, that says this is somehow evil to praise yourself, to love yourself, to accept everything that you are, and to speak of it gloriously and proudly. That's why they bang on you about having pride. It's part of the beast subduing the second beast. But now the second beast is back. And Joseph said unto his brethren, Come near to me, I pray you. And they came near. And he said, I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt. Now therefore be not grieved nor angry with yourselves. It's okay that you sold me into all of this, for God did send me before you to preserve life. So Jesus had gone on in and became the voice of that Egypt. He had to be it so he could touch it when he spoke to it, because he speaks to himself just like he speaks to you from within you. For these 2 years hath the famine been in the land, Joseph says. 2 years of famine. What is that? Those are the two. That is Joseph and Benjamin that have been missing. For these 2 years hath famine been in the land. 2 out of 7. And God sent me before you to preserve you a posterity in the earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance. Remember, Jesus wishes that none should perish. So we see what has been taught as a great wicked antichrist beast, a politician, which is the collective group of the 10 brothers. They must be saved. This antichrist must be saved. All that are within the beast must be discipled so that they can declare in who and what they are with the memory of what they have been, but speak of it in righteousness. This will need to happen so that you can identify what you have been and how you have been, where you came from and where you're going, and have full revelation of it, but not condemn the experience of who and what you were as the beast. So now, it was not you that sent me hither, but God. This is what Joseph says to his brothers. So now it was not you that sent me here, but God. And he hath made me a father to Pharaoh, and Lord of all of his house, the knowledge in all of his mouth, the knowledge in the words he speak, and the knowledge is the knowledge of the power of God, and the spirit behind it is righteousness. The dragon behind it now is righteousness, and a ruler throughout all the land of Egypt. Hurry up, or haste ye, and go up to my father, and say unto him, Thus saith thy son Joseph. See, this is Joseph, this is Jesus, the Word. Thus saith thy son Joseph, God hath made me Lord of all of Egypt. Come down unto me, and tarry not. Come now. So he is commanding the Father to recognize him for who and what he is. We must recognize this voice of righteousness and give him his day on the throne of our tongue. And we must conjoin it with the Spirit of the Father, for the Father has the sperm, the seed. The Word is now conjoining with spoken word. And so this is what it means when it says Jesus told those disciples that when they pray the Father, this is what it is when Jesus prays the Father. He has a message. The message is righteousness, and he is calling on the power of word to come down and conjoin with him and carry the message that he is up to the tongue and deliver it, that every ear within man, every ear within Adam, everything within you would hear what you say and gather all the knowledge and the understanding of it. It would bear children in the earth. This is what it means to pray the Father. It's that unction within you to have something you need to say, to plant seed, to have sperm, to enter into the womb of the mind, to give birth to a righteous human that you are. You require the hand of the Father, or the word that the Father is, to conjoin with the message that is from within. That is the message of righteousness concerning whatever it is you're going to speak of. This is what it is to pray the Father. You see Jesus praying the Father. You saw Joseph pray the Father to bring him down to where Joseph was so that they could be what? One again. The word and the message of righteousness. The seed is now conjoining with the spoken word. Jesus, the Word, with the Father, the sperm, the seed, in the Word, for my Father and I are one. And thou shalt dwell in the land of Goshen, and thou shalt be near unto me, thou and thy children and thy children's children, and thy flocks, which is more feelings that haven't been named, but are seeking their true identity through the confession of the truth about them as feelings within you, and thy flocks and thy herds. See, there are still other creatures that have yet come forth that need to be cleansed, and all that you have is what Joseph tells them to do. Notice flocks and herds. These are creatures or voices within you that have yet to be spoken from you. They are dumb animals. And then once they speak, they become the saints who know the death within the beast, but do not condemn the death, because the death came by what was spoken, and it glorifies God in their very being. The children are what you understand, and the flocks are what you do not understand, because you have not allowed them to speak from you, to hear them, for the word of knowledge to come. And thou shalt dwell in the land of Goshen, and thou shalt bear unto me, thou and thy children and thy children's children, bear unto me. Now you're going to bring forth a whole new understanding, now that you have known death within the beast. And thy children's children and thy flocks and thy herds and all that you have, bring all that you have to my kingdom, and I will govern what you know by what you say, and all will have a place. He says, and I will there nourish you, for yet there are 5 years of famine, lest thou and thy household and all that thou hast come to poverty. So beautiful. The words from your lips that speak and acknowledge all truth about your life within are kept from poverty. They're given value. It is the will of the life in your words that all expression from the lips be valuable, priceless, full of sperm, full of seed for the mind, to build up the mind, to cleanse the woman who has an issue with understanding or an issue with blood. A woman who's lost her precious coin, who needs to find that coin. And behold, our eyes see, and the eyes of my brother Benjamin, that it is my mouth that speaketh unto you. And behold, your eyes see, and the eyes of my brother Benjamin, that is my mouth that speaketh unto you. Wow, that's so beautiful. So Benjamin is the mouth that is speaking. Jesus is what is in that mouth. And it comes from a knowledge of what it is to be under the control and the enchantment of the understanding that it is flat out illegal to say that you are righteous and without spot or blemish. So the progression of the word was death in the beast to the revelation of the word, and then the revelation comes to the mouth, Benjamin. And these two, Joseph and Benjamin, are the two heads that are missing from the knowledge of Adam or Jacob or man or you. You had all of the 12 brothers, and that's what you were about on the inside of you until Jesus was revealed, or Joseph. And then when he finally revealed himself, the Word, then he opened up the knowledge and the understanding that Benjamin is the mouth at the end of the trail to where all that is known can be spoken. Benjamin is the final understanding that must be born. 10 understandings are born by your words, and they bring forth the understanding, or the Son, Jesus. Then the final step is the speaking of the understanding, Benjamin, that it is my mouth that speaketh unto you from all of this experience behind me. And the experience was death due to condemnation. Joseph says, you shall tell my father of all my glory in Egypt, and of all that you have seen, and you shall haste and bring down my father hither. Remember, it was the Father, or God, speech and speaking, that raised Jesus from the grave. And Jesus has now revealed himself to all within man, within you. And he says, now, bring the Father down so I can be conjoined with his will and with the word that he is and the sperm that is in that word. And let's have all that you've seen and all that you've heard. Let's haste and bring down the Father now, so this can all be spoken out of man. And he fell upon his brother Benjamin's neck and wept, and Benjamin wept upon his neck. Moreover, he kissed all his brethren and wept upon them. And after that, his brethren talked with him. We're on speaking terms now within us. We are not afraid of us or who we come from. It says, and the fame thereof was heard in Pharaoh's house, saying, Joseph's brethren are come, and it pleased Pharaoh well, and his servants. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, say unto thy brethren, this do ye. Lade your beasts and go. Pack your bags, get your cars, bags in the car, lade your beasts and go. Pack your beasts up and go. Get you unto the land of Canaan. Remember, Canaan was the land of milk and honey. And take your father and your households and come unto me, and I will give you the good of the land of Egypt, and you shall eat the fat of the land, which is all about you're going to enjoy what you say about who and what you are now that you understand the purpose of the experience behind you. Now thou art commanded, this do you, take you wagons out of the land of Egypt for your little ones and for your wives, and bring your father and come. So he gets them all in agreement. Then they call on the voice of the Father that you are, and they want to be conjoined or rejoined, all of this knowledge of salvation through righteousness at the death of unrighteousness. Bring the Father now so we can join it with words, and he can speak and heal the mind of the woman that is within him. It says, regard not your stuff, for the good of all the land of Egypt is yours. And the children, but yes, after a revelation, after a revealing of Joseph and Benjamin, the word and the mouth that it speaks. The word and the mouth that the word speaks from, Benjamin. And the children of Israel did so. And so Joseph gave them wagons according to the commandment of Pharaoh, and gave them provision for the way. To all of them he gave each man changes of raiment. In other words, take those clothes off. I'm going to clothe you this way. What I say is going to give you a new garment. But to Benjamin, he gave 300 pieces of silver. Silver always speaks of righteousness. Pieces of silver, words of righteousness, and 5 changes of raiment. And to his father he sent after this manner: 10 asses laden with the good things of Egypt, and 10 asses laden with corn and bread and meat for his father by the way. He provided for the father the food and the transportation, the words. So he sent his brethren away, and they departed. And he said unto them, see that you fall not out by the way. And they went up out of Egypt and came into the land of milk and honey, into the land of Canaan, unto Jacob their father. And they told him all the words of Joseph, which he had said unto them. And when he saw the wagons which Joseph had sent to carry him, the spirit of Jacob, their father, what? Revived. The life and the word revived when everything was revealed. And Israel said, that's Jacob, and Israel said, it is enough. Joseph, my son, is yet alive. I will go and see him before I die. Now, why is Israel going to die? Because who and what Israel was under the life and reign of the beast, now that Joseph and the mouth and the understanding of the spoken word has returned to the Father, then who and what Jesus is and who and what Joseph through Benjamin are, Joseph, or the father of Joseph, Israel, will be eclipsed. If you notice in the New Testament, Joseph, they say by rumor and myth, and by man's teaching, he died, but there's no mention of his death. He just disappears one day and quits being a part of the story. Why? Jesus enters into the temple as a child and eclipses the father, Joseph. So Joseph, in that voice, does not speak anymore, but the understanding that he has now is eclipsing that voice, and that voice carried unrighteousness in it. This is the revelation that you fathered all of this within you. This is the revelation that you followed all of this within you, and you are the totality of all that has been spoken before you, and you fainted because of the massive size of the revelation of that. Here is the wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. The wisdom is this nasty beast that commercial Christianity has taunted you with, It came from man that you are. It is you. And Joseph is the spoken word that rules the family of you, and both beasts must be known as you. Love your enemy as yourself, because it is all of you in the one that you are. When you know the number of man, then you have given a full accounting of who and what you are, and you are all that you wish you were not, and you are all that you wish that you were. You have accounted for yourself that it is the story of you.
Subscribe for free and share the podcast from abeljosephson.com.